Welcome, future investigators. In today's explainer, we're going to completely dissect a seemingly perfect murder attempt, one that was actually inspired by television crime shows. Now, I want you to treat this as an official briefing. We're looking at a real-life case out of New Delhi, and honestly, it serves as a masterclass in why you can never ever outsmart real forensic science, no matter how many web series you've binge-watched. We'll be examining the tragic death of a 32-year-old UPSC aspirant, and we'll see exactly how a meticulously planned cover-up by a forensic science student unraveled entirely under the lens of modern investigative techniques.
So here is our briefing syllabus for today as we methodically strip away the perpetrator's illusions. We'll cover 1. The case briefing, 2. Staging an accidental fire, 3. Autopsy and burn patterns, 4. Gait analysis and CCTV, 5. Digital trails and motive, and finally 6. The CSI effect examined. Let's get right into it.
Module 1, the case briefing. Okay, let's set the scene. Last October in Gandhi Vihar, North Delhi, first responders found the charred body of 32-year-old Ramkesh Meena in what initially looked like a standard household accident. But the suspect profiles, they told a very different story. His live-in partner, Amrita Chauhan, was actually a 21-year-old forensic student. She used her academic training and a pretty heavy obsession with crime shows to plot his death. She brought in her ex-boyfriend, Sumit Kashyap, who happened to be an LPG distributor, which is a detail that became a lethal tool, along with their friend Sandeep Kumar. Together, they really believed they had the perfect skill set for an untraceable crime.
Moving right along to Module 2, staging an accidental fire.
Now, as investigators, you absolutely must look past the obvious. This trio carefully orchestrated the scene to mimic a tragic accidental fire. First, they restrained and strangled Meena. Then, thinking exactly like a forensic student trying to destroy DNA evidence, Amrita and her accomplices poured ghee, oil, and wine all over his body. Sumit then used his professional know-how to open the LPG cylinder knob right near the victim's head. Finally, they locked the iron gate from the inside. They literally reached through a removed portion of the mesh net to make it look completely secured from within before igniting the gas and fleeing the scene. The suspects were banking on the blast being written off as an electrical short circuit or maybe a window AC unit explosion. But here's where real science steps in. Technical experts systematically dismantled this illusion. When they inspected the AC compressor, they found it was completely intact. Zero leaks. None. The single piece of mechanical truth instantly flipped the script, shifting the investigation from a routine accidental death probe straight into a homicide case.
Which brings us to Module 3, autopsy and burn patterns. The perpetrators really believed that fire would act as the ultimate eraser. But human pathology is incredibly unforgiving. The autopsy report highlighted very specific injuries that totally ruled out an accident. Pathologists found burn patterns proving Meena was either alive or unconscious when the fire was set, meaning his body systems were still actively functioning. And worse, hidden right beneath those burns, the medical examiner found clear, undeniable signs of severe assault and strangulation using a phone charging cable. So the fire didn't hide the murder at all, it actually preserved the timeline of the assault.
Special Commissioner of Police Ravindra Yadav really hit the nail on the head when he said this case was perfectly planned, but solved even more perfectly through scientific analysis. The perpetrators left clues precisely because they tried so incredibly hard to manipulate the scene. Their over-engineering was their ultimate downfall. Let's pivot now to Module 4, Gait analysis and CCTV. In modern policing, you have to remember, the environment is always watching. We pulled a digital timeline mapping the night of October 5th into the early hours of the 6th, and CCTV timestamps completely trashed their alibis. Cameras caught the masked suspects entering at 8:45 p.m., Sandeep left at 9:23 p.m., then Amrita and Sumit were recorded fleeing at exactly 2:57 a.m., which was just moments before the explosion ripped through the apartment. Oh, and call data records? They pinged Amrita's phone right at the crime scene. Now, because the suspects wore masks to conceal their faces, the Delhi police utilized gait pattern analysis. This was actually a first for them in such a direct comparative application. For those who need a refresher, gait analysis is a systematic study of human locomotion. Every single person has a totally unique walking style, defined by temporal and spatial features. Think stride length, joint angles, foot placement, and even how you swing your arms. So even though they masked up to hide their identities, their unique walking patterns linked them directly to the footage.
Experts from Gujarat were brought in to analyze the video across 5 different camera angles. Using highly specialized computer software, they compared the CCTV footage of the masked figures running away, side by side, with a recreated video of the arrested suspects walking. The biomechanical match was undeniable. I mean, you can hide your face, sure, but your natural biomechanics? No way.
All right, moving to Module 5, Digital Trails and Motive. Physical evidence at the scene was really only half the battle. Following their arrest in Moradabad, police retrieved a massive trove of digital and physical evidence that confirmed the whole conspiracy. The suspects had stolen laptops, phones, and a very specific hard disk from the apartment before torching it. They thought they were destroying the motive, but by taking these items with them, they literally carried the most damning evidence directly into police custody.
Digital evidence retrieval confirmed the why of it all. The victim's refusal to delete explicit videos stored on his hard disk is what drove the suspects to orchestrate this brutal murder. The relationship had soured, and Meena was allegedly using these private videos to blackmail Amrita into staying with him. So this entire elaborate plot, the staged robbery, the arson, the murder, was constructed just to retrieve this one piece of digital storage. But as we know, in the digital age, data rarely dies. Recovering it provided the ultimate key to the prosecution's case.
And finally, Module 6, the CSI effect examined. Let's take a second to analyze the ultimate irony of this case. Amrita's reliance on crime shows to cover her tracks is a textbook example of the police chief's version of the CSI effect. This is the psychological theory that criminals actively learn forensic countermeasures from media, wearing gloves, hiding faces, using fire to destroy DNA, and then they attempt to change their behavior accordingly. They genuinely think they are staying one step ahead of the law. Dr. Amanda Vickery's academic research highlights this perfectly. Criminals often take tips from TV, believing fictional techniques will save them from real-world scrutiny. Her research shows that individuals who watch a ton of crime-based television do indeed pick up some forensic knowledge, and Amrita knew enough to try and scrub the scene. But what those shows rarely depict accurately is the sheer depth, the redundancy, and the totally unforgiving nature of a real, multidisciplinary forensic investigation. In the end, a forensic science student tried to pull off a TV-inspired murder, only to be completely undone by the very science she studied. The Delhi police compiled a massive 813-page charge sheet. It drew on testimony from 55 witnesses, technical AC inspections, cellular data, CCTV, and gait analysis. The very methods she thought she could outsmart ended up building an ironclad trap right around her. Before we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as you continue your training in the criminal justice field. When our phones track our exact locations, our cameras map our unique walking patterns, and our pathologists can read the story of a body even after a devastating fire, is the perfect crime even possible anymore? Or is it simply a myth kept alive by the very television shows that lead criminals to their own downfall? Think about that as you review your notes today. Thanks for joining me on this briefing team, and stay curious out there.